First, let's bring in Jim Barnett, longtime analyst for the Golden State Warriors. Jim, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Matt, it's a pleasure being with you. You know, we've had a lot of history between you and me.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. In fact, somebody brought up We Believe about a half hour ago, and I was like, oh, boy, what a year that was. Hey, let me ask you this, Jim, because I watched the women's game, the women's championship game, and there was a lot of talk about that trash talking. And, you know, I was thinking, one of the things I don't remember talking to you about ever was trash talking big at all, kind of in your day?
Oh, there was always some trash talking here and there. Well, it wasn't as blatant as it is today, I don't believe. There was a little more respect. There was a smaller league. First of all, when I came in, there were only 10. Believe it or not, when I came in '66, there were only 10 teams. In fact, Chicago was added that year, a brand new team. Before there had been 9, and they had kept it that way. And so everybody knew each other, you know. And so it was a different era, and it was a different climate, not only on the basketball court, but a different climate in sports, a different climate in the world. Everything, there was no social media, so
right.
Everything was so blatantly hidden, if you will, and it just wasn't a part of the society as much. But there was rivalry that, you know, before. I think they went quickly from competition to fighting and getting upset, and they didn't do the trash talking. They just jumped right away and went right to fighting. There were a lot of fights in my era.
Well, Jim, so here, obviously the news yesterday that Andrew Wiggins' return to the court is imminent has spread a lot of optimism around the Bay Area. And I'm curious, as someone, you were there in Denver, you saw the game against the Nuggets, one that was a bit of a letdown, but then we got the great news yesterday. I do wonder for you, how does Andrew Wiggins, if he does, change the way you view the Golden State Warriors right now? And do you kind of see them, even with 3 games left and potentially a play-in ahead of them, maybe not if they can hold on to a top 6 seed, how does Andrew Wiggins' presence back with this team change the way you view, or not change the way you view the Warriors?
I think he's really critical for this team for a number of reasons. First of all, you've got 3, when he comes back, you've got 3 bona fide scorers, obviously, in Thompson, Curry, and Wiggins. Wiggins is going to give you 16, 18 a night. And the nicest thing, I think this is a perfect team for him because you can't leave Curry alone. You can't leave Thompson alone. So he doesn't get double teamed. He's going one-on-one all the time. You know, when he was in Minnesota, he got double and triple teamed. They didn't have people that could score like that. And so I think it's a perfect fit for him, and it's a perfect fit for the Warriors to have him. And he also plays both ways, a two-way player. And I like his length. He can block shots. He can defend. He rebounds the ball, and which the Warriors need that. I can't believe how well the Warriors rebound because they're small. It starts with Draymond, of course, but they rebound extremely well without having a 7-foot center. It's remarkable to me, but they're very, very competitive, and that starts with Draymond, as I mentioned. So I'm anxious to get Wiggins back, and I hope he's been working out. I don't know anything at all. I don't know all the reasons that he was out, but he's missed a lot of games this year. He missed games earlier in the season, and he hasn't played since early February, so he's going to be a little rusty. I hope he can, come right in and make a change because this team needs better defense right now. That's one thing about them. I was, the last game they played in Denver, a very disappointing game, the way they came out. I don't know. I was a little concerned. I thought Stephen Curry's one of the worst games I've seen him play all season long, and they couldn't hit threes. And they finally started, when they had a 15-point lead in the second quarter, I thought, okay, they're going to add to this. Instead, they let them off the hook, and then they had to play from behind all the rest of the way, which we've seen them do on the road this year. And then they fell 2 points short. Maybe if there had been another minute in the game, they might have won. But, that loss was very disappointing to me. And the one, I'll tell you what, loss. I know the Warriors have won 11 of their last 12 at home. And the one loss was to Minnesota, turning the ball over twice in the last 35 seconds. It just killed them when they had the lead. That's a game that one to me hurt more than any game this year. So and they've had the turnovers. They haven't cured that problem. So I think I don't know. I just don't know how they're going to react to everything, and everything is open right now. You got what, 4 teams with 38 losses. They were sitting pretty a week or so ago, and now all the people that are behind them, like the Lakers and New Orleans, Minnesota, they all have the tie break. So they don't have much advantage here. I know they're still in the 6th spot, and they've got 3 games, tonight's game against OKC, and then 2 on the road, Portland and I should say it the other way around, Sacramento and then Portland.
Exactly. Jim Barnett joining us on 95.7 The Game. The one thing I was thinking about, particularly with Wiggins, Jim, but also with Wiggins and Peyton, and it was this. They are both really, really good defenders, obviously, and they need them to defend. But the thing that I think really works in the Warriors' favor is that while Wiggins can get you 20, he doesn't really impact your offensive pecking order. You know what I mean? Like his shots tend to come in the flow, so the adjustment to him offensively, I don't think is going to be a big deal.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. He fits right in. He doesn't demand the ball,
right?
And all of a sudden, they obviously Curry can't get open every time. Clay can't get open every time, and then they find Wiggins and. He either takes that outside shot. He's had a good 3-point shooting year, one of his best ever, really. I think it's his 2nd best. He's just under 40% from 3-point range this year. But he can get to the basket and get himself to the line, and he can draw defenders that way, and then all of a sudden open it up for Curry and Thompson. So, no, they're just not the same team without Wiggins. There's no question about it. They don't have anybody that can come in and fill that spot. So they're not deep in that area, and he's been around a long time. He knows how to play.
Jim, you mentioned them not being the same team without Wiggins, but now that he's back, if you look at last year's postseason roster at the beginning, they have 8 of those kind of 9 top guys in the rotation back now, ideally ready and healthy for this playoff run. When something we've been tossing around is this idea of how much teams do or don't fear the Warriors. And I'm not sure if fear is the right word. Maybe respect is a better way to put it. But, when you were playing and, you're going up against these top teams with championship caliber, how much respect do you give those kind of clubs? And how does that affect maybe the way you'll see opponents now face the Warriors with their full complement of pieces?
I think you need respect no matter when you step out on the floor on an NBA game. You have to respect the opponent no matter what their record is. You can't just throw it out there and let it go. You're just not a successful team. You've got to have that killer instinct, whether you're playing against, if you're playing against Milwaukee, you're playing against Boston, or you're playing against tonight OKC. Obviously, you're more dominant against a lesser team, but there's respect I think is important to have. And don't take anything for granted. And you just take care of your own stuff. And it starts at the defensive end, always, I think. If in the great teams that go and win championships. And you just let things fall where they can. You play team ball. You try to eliminate mistakes. You try to play good defense. You give help. You're aware. You take care of the basketball. You get good shots. You work for your shots. You push the ball. You do all the fundamental things. And respect, there's a difference between respect and fear. You can go against a team that is heavily favored, but that doesn't, you do not have to, and you do not want to fear them. You always think if you can beat the team that you're playing against. So you have respect for them, but you still believe that you belong. One-on-one, obviously Jerry West, Oscar Robertson were better players than I was by far. But I used to guard them. I was always one usually assigned when I played for the Warriors against those kinds of players. And I always thought that I could stop them on each and every possession. You have to have that belief in yourself. And obviously it's not going to happen, but you still always have a positive attitude about that.
Right.
Jim Barnett joining us on 95.7 The Game. Let me ask you this, Jim. You played till you were 32. And I'm looking at the big three. Obviously, Steph's 35. The other guys are a year or two younger. Can you give me a tangible example of anything that happened in your career where you felt your age? Like
Absolutely.
Okay. Go
Absolutely. And it's so different nowadays. These guys are in better shape. They've got better training. They've got better diets. There's no $8 a day meal money that we used to have when I first came into the league, and you had to go out and find your meals. They feed them, they take care of them. They stay in great hotels, so they get better rest. Everything is better today. Nourishment and health all year round, and so they can play longer. Okay, they can play longer. So, when we were 32, we were getting pretty old. 33, 34, definitely. Even when you go back to Michael Jordan, now he was in great shape and he had the killer instinct. And he's, by the way, my favorite player of all time. I love Michael Jordan, love the way that killer instinct that he had. But you could see later on, he went to Washington. He was 39 years old, 40, 41. He was not the same. These guys today, I don't know where they're gonna pop out. But I just remember that I was retired. I was 32, and I got picked up by Philadelphia. I think in February, my last year in the league, which was, I can't even remember what year it was.
76, 77.
Okay. Oh, of course. So, 76, 77. And I remember in a game, and in fact, before that, I remember playing against Philadelphia and guarding Doug Collins the year before. And Doug went around me, and I think I was playing for the Knicks at that time, and he went around me, and I knew Doug,
right.
And I said, gee, I ran down the floor like that. He went around me, went in for a layup, and I said, how'd you do that? You can't beat me off the dribble, and it was really funny, but your legs do go, and mine started going when they were 32 and 33 years of age, and I was a step slow. I noticed it two ways. Number one, defensively, obviously, if I'm going to have to go against Calvin Murphy,
right,
or Nate Archibald, who averaged over 34 a game to lead the league in scoring one year. And I did used to defend those guys, but I couldn't keep them in front of me like I used to, like I did normally when I was in my 20s and just turning 30. So that was it. So you don't have, and also I remember I wasn't a great outside shooter, but I could get around people and get to the basket, and I had a great first step, and I could finish inside even over bigger people, quick shots and all those kinds of things. Pretty deceptive.
Yeah.
And I used to do a lot of reverse layups. And I remember I would, you come in, you just know automatically where you take off, and you come up, you show them the ball, you come up and under, you go the other side of the rim. And I remember driving to the basket, going up and under, and I didn't make it to the other side. And the ball, as I went, didn't hit the backboard, it hit the bottom of the rim on the other side.
Right.
I went, how did that happen? Well, that's when your legs go, and you know it.
Great, Jim Barnett. Look, I've always appreciated your analysis, expertise, television, radio. You can do it all. I am curious, from everything that you've seen this year being with the Warriors, top 10 teams right now. You're looking at Denver, Memphis, Sacramento, Phoenix, both Los Angeleses, of course, Golden State, and then New Orleans, Minnesota, OKC at the bottom. How many of those teams could you legitimately see winning the Western Conference?
Wow. Well, I think, obviously Denver's got the best record in the West, and they've got Jokic, the center, that could do everything for him, and he's got about 30 triple-doubles this year already. Phoenix is loaded if everybody's healthy. Those two, to me, are the two top teams that could take the West. And I'm going to say this, other than the Warriors. Are the Warriors going to pull something out of the hat? I don't know. I'm hoping they can pull it all together and do something, and they have the experience, so we know that. But in the West, to me, Denver and Phoenix are the two top teams that could come out of there if it's not the Warriors, for sure.
Jim, thank you as always. Really appreciate it. And, I was actually on the phone with my mom a week ago, and she asked about you, so she says hello.
Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm glad she's doing well. And thanks for having me on, Matt and Evan. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jim.
Jim Barnett, Golden State Warriors analyst. You can hear him on away games now, and longtime partner Bob Fitzgerald.